Hey everybody, welcome to Leon's Chainsaw Parts and Repair. We're going to be taking a look at a Homelite C-72 today. We're going to actually clean this thing up, and with any luck, put it back on the road and send it down the road, because I don't need another one in my collection. I already have two, which is probably one too many. That's okay. Doesn't matter, that's not the point. I want to look at some cleanup techniques. This thing was a disaster, and the paint isn't totally shot on it. So I want to preserve as much as possible. I've already done the garden hose and the spray degreaser and the little nylon brush. I've done all that. What we're going to get it down to now is how do you cut through sappy sawdust and not destroy your paint? Let's see if we can actually do that. Okay. So, some of this stuff, it actually will come off fairly easily, but not with the garden hose, because I've already done this. So, having these little Harbor Freight piece of crap dental picks is actually really stinking useful. Because now that all that's loose, I'm pretty sure I can wipe that out. Let's save that for a minute. You get little crevices like this, where if it's too gooey, trying to aim the garden hose in there just ends up blowing it back in your face, and you get mad and say bad words. Or at least I do. So, that's just some water in there. Oh, where else did I notice just little areas, these little crevasses? Now, obviously, if you take everything apart, those are easier to clean. If you don't want to take literally everything apart. Alright. Now this, we're going to start dealing with the sap. As soon as I get through. Yeah, see, there is some sap in that. All these little spots that like to hold. See, that bar stud, you guys may not be able, yeah, you can see it. That's sappy. That's why that didn't blow off. It's actually chunky on there. I'm scraping the chunks off. Okay, and like this. And this. Now this is behind where the bucking spike goes, but still, I want it to be clean. So I am carefully scraping sap off right now. Now, am I going to take some paint? Maybe. But I at least want to get this vulnerable to some sort of cleaning agent. Now, I have tried WD-40, and I have found it to work really, really well for fresh sap. Okay. Maybe for stuff that you have scraped the edges on and made it vulnerable. See how that's starting to clean up in there. And across the top here, not so bad. Okay, so that's not terrible. But you've got some hardened chunkers down here. And it doesn't quite do it. So, this is where you got to be careful. I have had decent luck here with acetone, but again, this can screw up some paint, so you want to be real careful. You don't want to expose it to it any longer than you have to. And even that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to cut through it. You may still have to scrape it. I'd like to think that little bit is, yeah, see, it's starting to soften it up a bit. But that's just not gonna be any fun. When the sap gets this bad, odds are pretty good you're gonna take some paint with you. But that little bit that I wiped on there definitely softened it up there. So maybe I should try that down here too. You can see I am taking some of the top layer of paint off. Some of that could just be oxidation, but the paint is definitely not going to look shiny when I get done doing this and it dries. I'll have to polish it again. Okay. Almost there. A little bit more. This is why when sap gets on your saw, if you care about the way it looks, you want to get it off as quickly as possible. If it dries for 20 or 30 years, like I think this stuff has, it sucks. But this just takes some time. There's no shortcut here. Spraying brake clean on won't do anything. It'll soften the sap up, but you're still going to have to do some scrubbing and try and get that cleaned up. Man, that is some persistent stuff. I really think this has been here for decades. Okay, I'm going to call that good. Now for some of these other areas that we were looking at, I'm going to go ahead and do the acetone wipe. Just real quick. Get some of the grease and debris out. At least as much as I can reach. And you might wonder, well, what does it matter in there? Well, you're not going to see it. But as you go out and cut, and you start slinging sawdust, and the engine ingests that through the starter screen, you don't want it to be able to stick. You want it to blow right on through. And if it's oily, fuel residue, crap, it's not going to blow right through. So, there you go. That's kind of how I do it. I think I'm going to probably put the video on fast forward from this point on. And we'll just see where I get on this power head. Alright, obviously you don't want to use your microfiber towel for your car on this. That would be somewhat silly. And that is nowhere near perfect, but it's a lot better than it was. You would have to spend a lot of time with a Dremel and a small tool to try and polish in here, which I've done, but I'm not going to on this saw. More than anything, I wanted to get the loose paint off and get a layer of wax on everything that was left. Even though this is a cleaner wax, it's going to help protect what is left of this paint. And the rest of the body parts are in better shape. Grab the tank. This tank has some sort of mystery liquid in it that is going to go away. It's not like mystery liquids. It smells like gasoline, but it looks like mocha. So I don't know what the hell it is. I've talked about this before. Now, God, that smells like just regular gas. If you don't have to split the tank, don't. And you don't have to split the tank to clean out and do a fuel filter. And this isn't clean. I'm making a mess doing this, but this is a whole lot better than splitting the tank. So here we've got some more issues with sap buildup. And this is a highly visible spot. We don't want a bunch of stuff that looks like grease accumulated in here. At least I don't. Right here, because we're at the edge and paint's already chipping, I actually think I'm doing less damage doing it this way than I would with acetone. But some of these crevices over here around the screws, it may be unavoidable. But they're starting to soften up. We're going to see what we can achieve. Ugh, what a mess. Alright, let's get this thing out. So, I've done this on the channel before. I'm going to demonstrate to replace that inner hose most of the time. A deep socket and a rattle gun. Take it right out. And that's the best way to do it. If you put a wrench on that, you're going to round it off. And I guess if that happens, then you're stuck pulling the tank apart. But you sure don't want to start that way. You can avoid it and make your life easier. Do it. Now this hose is as stiff as a board. Oh yeah, there was some water in there. But it still smelled like fuel, so I'm not sure exactly how that happened. But definitely was some water in there. So once you get this out, it's easiest to just take your razor knife and try and carefully, without cutting yourself, score it up real good. Get through it if you can. And once it starts to peel, trying to. There we go. And yes, you can bend that fitting. So make sure you've done enough with the razor. Okay, that filter is still usable if I clean out the crap. Because I guarantee this saw didn't run at all after it was put in. Whether I did it or Jim Jr. worked on this one, truthfully, I don't know. But I guarantee it did not cut any wood after that. Alright, so that's out of there. Before I start putting it together, this is the kind of panel, body part, whatever, where you can make a nice statement. And having it off the saw where you can work with it makes it a lot easier. Again, this is never going to be perfect. It's not going to look perfect. The paint's not going to look perfect. But you can get nice circular strokes in here. Nothing in your way at the moment. Really takes next to no time in the grand scheme of working on one of these things. Try get stuff out of there. In those little kind of crevasses, you would have to use the damn... I said the name earlier. God, I swear. A multifunction tool with a little polishing tip to get into there, which absolutely can be done. Alright, just as a preview, hey, it's not perfect, but it looks a hell of a lot better. So I'm going to keep going, because this part is basically ready to go back on. Thinking we're going to need a new duckbill valve. But for now, this will work. Acetone will help remove any remaining water. And then evaporate. And go away. So I, for one, like that plan. careful around the decals. See how that, yeah, that one's screwed. That's what happens when that stuff gets anywhere near the decals. But what are you going to do? And that's actually not a true decal. That's, I can't remember what that's called either, but silk screen, I think. So when you go to polish paint, you kind of want to go around it, which means that the underlying that's faded is always going to be faded. But what are you going to do? Accept up front that this won't be perfect, that's just going to make it look better, and hey, it is what it is. If you want an absolute pristine saw, you either find a shelf queen that's been there for 50 years, or you take the time to repaint them. Not bad. Not bad. You know what I mean? Not bad. Alright, I guess we ought to do a fuel hose for this thing. First, let me clean up a few more parts. I'll get it to the point where we can actually start assembling, and I'll come back. Alright, let's put this thing back together and see if we can't make it run. And run good. I think we can. Alright. Let's go ahead and put our new fuel hose on. Oh, I want a little lubrication on that. It's not a cold day, but it's not, ouch, a warm day. So the Tygon will do whatever the hell it wants, I guess. I would prefer that it didn't fight me too terribly bad. Alright, that's good enough. So, you don't need any sealer on these threads. They should be tapered. I've seen where folks have done it before. I've never seen the need, and I've never read in Homelite literature that says you need to. What I'm trying to do is get the hose to come up and out. There she goes. Alright. At this time, it would be opportune to go ahead and get that screwed down. Now you notice I don't use my impact socket on this is because it won't sit deep enough. Good enough. Now I'm going to put that chrome socket away. Not that it really matters in my little world here. Alright, fuel filter, and we'll drop that in the tank. If you reverse that and put the fuel filter on first, you can create a nice rat's nest in the tank of wound up hose as you're spinning that fitting in. It's best to just leave everything loose like I did. And then when there's no tension on it, no windings, drop it in and away she goes. See how easy that is? Now obviously if your tank leaks, split it, do what you need to do, or red coat it, whatever. There's options. I just don't like taking them apart if I don't have to. Okie dokie. Oh, it would be smart to put this hose on. Very smart. That's kind of a critical piece. Ouch. So in those kits that I sell, you get two sizes of hose. It should be obvious. Oh, God Bless it, you son of a bitch! Should be obvious which one is which. The smaller diameter goes in the tank, and the larger diameter goes out here. Why Homelite designed it this way, I don't know. It may have to do with the fact that Tillotson carburetors were used on a lot of things, and their fuel barb is their fuel barb. But it essentially means you don't need a line this big to keep this engine fed, because the one in the tank is smaller. Yeah, go figure. Alright, so you slip this through here, and the tank should just slide into place. Most of this hardware has run through the ultrasonic cleaner, but the amount of junk still on the screw heads is unsatisfactory to me. Okay, so you've got your 2 tank screws from the front. I'd recommend leaving that a little bit loose until everything is started. Hopefully that's not too tight. And that's why. Come on. Could you just get on the screw head? Dummy. Okay. It's a little bit better already. Alright. We could throw the starter on. These pawls, as I recall, are in need of some lubrication. Joe better go. Screen ran through the ultrasonic cleaner as well. Came out looking a whole lot nicer. As long as you keep painted parts out of there, it'll make those look like crap in short order. Okay. We're going to lubricate this starter because we have it apart. Oh, baby. Only one indexed, I think. Alright. Well, poo. I guess let's play with a starter. Okay. I think that should actually come off. Yeah, it should. Oh, yeah. Nice. Actually, I don't have the basket in that. I just hose that off out back. Probably could tension that one wrap and be alright, but we're going to do this the right way and replace the rope. Just because we can. Depending on what this looks like under here. Oh yeah, that's nice. Okay. And by that's nice, I don't mean that's nice. Let's get the, oh man, that's swollen, dirty, nasty, yuck. Let's get this old rope the hell out of here. Come on, baby. There we go. Bye-bye. Now that should come off, and it does. No bushing, that's a bronze one. Okay. Those, there's some pieces here that are going to run through that ultrasonic cleaner. Now, that means I'm going to have to turn off the camera because there's no way I can run that while I'm filming. Too obnoxious. Okay. I actually think that spring is broke. It is. Look at that. So I'm glad we pulled this apart. That's going to go in the trash can where it can explode safely. I'm going to run a batch of stuff through. Not a very big batch though. I was planning on that spring going in. Run this stuff through the ultrasonic cleaner and get this housing cleaned out of Shizat, because it sure shouldn't look like that. And find a new spring, and we'll come back. Alright. Slipped a new recoil spring in there. Again, it's riveted on the outer edge, so just got to set it in place without blowing it up. But at least you don't have to hold it like so many of those damn McCulloch springs. Alright. I don't want to have to deal with this again, so I put a double knot in this, but man, I may regret that. So I don't know that I can get this to sit flat enough. So, let's see if we can use some persuasion on it. Ouch! Damn it! You know, I'm getting tired of crap like that. I don't need my freaking finger pinched every other 5 seconds. Ugh. Still think that would catch on the flywheel screen. Well, guess we try it. Alright. I'm pulling it over. I need to be pulling it counterclockwise, so that dictates how you wind it. And it's real helpful to put that lock in first, because then alignment is a breeze. You see that? That is absolutely the way you want to go about that. Some of the very early saws, that lock wasn't removable, but man, not many. And it's worth upgrading if you have that old style. It just makes that so stinking easy. And that should be tight, and it should turn. If it doesn't, you got something wrong. Alright, I'm going to preload that with a full turn. And everybody has their own ways of doing this. I prefer this because I can test it now. Oh yeah, that'll retract and hold tight. You can you can tie the handle on, slip the rope in the groove, and then give it some turns after the fact. It just depends on what you yourself prefer. Here, I thought we might go a Saturday without hearing Poopsie over there. This Poopsie just slept in a little bit today. Okay. Much better. We won't have issues with that. Get this back together and get this party started. I went through the carburetor and there was nothing of note. Put a new kit in it. There was no dried up fuel, so we kept the... Okay, that shield actually prevents the knot from dragging, and that's probably what we hear on the backside, but it's not jamming this up, so we'll call it good. And here we go. Okay. I like it. Alright, what did I do? I put them right there. There's our carburetor. Need a new gasket. Oh, dee-do-dee-do. Should have lots of those in here. Look at that, I do. The only reason I split this is I wanted to run this through the ultrasonic cleaner. It would have been easier to leave it attached. The only time you need to separate that when you're doing a carb kit is if you are doing that fuel inlet needle, because you can't get to the axle screw with the intake in place. Intake, reed block, whatever you prefer to call it. It's technically both. And this nut technically doesn't want to start. Okay. This isn't the most user-friendly setup, but once you get it to start, and the threads are clean, which is a good reason to clean the threads, generally spins down fairly easily. This one's got a rough spot on it. That's why it backed the damn stud out on me. But whatever. Okay. Good enough. We're set. We're not set. Not totally. I forgot. We need a new throttle rod grommet in there, and I'm starting to run low on my aftermarket ones. So with any luck, I will remember that I need to replenish those. Now, I am not really in the mood to drive this throttle rod retainer out, so I'm going to attempt to see if I can jam enough of the bellows through where the grommet seals up, in theory. And see if I can avoid being destructive and dumb. I don't know. Got one. Just gotta be careful you don't punch a freaking hole in it. That kind of defeats the purpose. Come on, baby. Close. Really close. There we go. There we go. Now we're sealed up again. And for good measure, a little bit of lube. Much better. Alright. Carburetor time. And no, I don't want that fuel hose underneath it. Gasket's still stuck to the bottom of this reed. So you may wonder why the fuel hose is so freaking long. Well, it's because Homelite wasn't consistent as to what side the feed was on. Some of these, it was way over here, and therefore that's the length that I sell you guys. When it's this one down here, you can take about 3 inches off. And if I had been thinking, I'd have done that, but I wasn't thinking, so I didn't. Alright, put a little lubrication on that barb. See if I can avoid any more issues with this hose. Okay, that looks really good. That looks really stinking good. I like that. Alright. There's not a whole lot else to do here. Get that out of the way. And all these washers. Oh, come on, you knucklehead. There we go. Alright, I guess that was one thing I didn't get cleaned out. We should do the fuel cap before we try and test run this, but that's basically where we're at. We're ready for a test run. And if this is too nasty, I might replace that tube. Hell, it might not come out. Man. And there it started to turn. Not a corrosion on that. Yeah. I'm not messing around with that. Bought a bunch of these tubes back when Ranger had them more readily available. I think they're now, you can get them in aluminum or white, but black is harder to come by. There we go. Pooey. That doesn't taste good. Yuck. What do you say? Should we throw some fuel in this thing? Obviously it's not fully assembled, not even close, but it's enough to find out if we still have issues. And it's nice to know that before you're fully assembled. Okay. Let's see what we got. Took a little while to prime, but it's got, oh, well, it's dripping out the back now. Interesting. What are you doing? So that's pretty amazing. Even though I had spark at first, it lost spark because there was not enough points gap. So that's an interesting one. That screw wasn't really loose. I don't know. But that gave me an opportunity to clean some more stuff. The flywheel took a dunk in the old dunk tank over there, and it looks a hell of a lot better. And I polished up and installed the handlebar, bucking spike. Did a little cleanup on the muffler. One thing I noted, somebody's put a stud there, and I am not going to touch that. I don't need that kind of aggravation. Not going to touch it. So, this thing is actually really, really close. I need to drop a grommet in the air filter here. We've got the cover. We got this cover. And there's a sticker that's going to go back on this cover, I think. Well, I don't know. Let me grab it. Yeah, it's still got some stick to it, so I'm going to put it on. Because that will give this thing two different labels that I want to look up. The first one Well, we'll go with this one. I still need to clean the gunk off of it, but Barber's Small Engine Shop, Hillsboro, Oregon. Alright. My guess, well, I don't know. It could be, it doesn't matter. Let me read the other one first, because it doesn't match. Western Chainsaw Company, Eureka, California. So this saw has made its way around the West Coast a little bit. So what shop it landed in when Jim bought it, God only knows. I know he bought shops as far up as Sweet Home, maybe further. Maybe further, it's hard to say. I don't know how many he went down into California for. I don't remember him talking about too many, but hey, whatever. I think it's kind of neat to have those old labels on these saws. Yes, it detracts from the original look of them, but I don't know. Just tells a story, you know what I mean? Kind of cool. So that's enough yickety yakking on this video. I don't know how it's going to edit down. Obviously, we're not going to watch me polish a bunch of paint in real time. That's not going to happen. But I'll finish this up, and the next time you see it, it will be up for sale. I'll catch you guys in the next video.